Have you ever noticed that some people earn more money every single year, yet somehow never become wealthy? They get promotions, bigger paychecks, better jobs, but 10 years later, they're still living paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, someone earning less quietly builds investments, financial freedom, and a life with far less stress. So what's the difference? It's not intelligence, it's not luck, and surprisingly, it's not even income. The answer lies in a handful of money habits that slowly drain your wealth without you ever realizing it. They're so normal that millions of people repeat them every day, believing they're making smart financial decisions. By the end of this video, you'll know which habit silently destroys more wealth than almost anything else. And chances are, you've been doing it too. Let's begin with one of the most dangerous habits of all. Habit 10. Imagine getting a raise at work. You promise yourself you'll finally start investing. But a few weeks later, there's a nicer apartment, a newer car, more expensive restaurants, a better phone. Without realizing it, your lifestyle expands to match your income. This is called lifestyle inflation. The problem isn't earning more money. The problem is allowing every extra dollar to become another monthly expense. Many people think their financial problems will disappear once they make more money. But if your spending grows at the same speed as your income, nothing actually changes. The paycheck gets bigger, but your financial freedom stays exactly where it was. And that leads directly to the next habit. Habit 9. Here's an uncomfortable question. How many purchases are actually for you, and how many are for everyone else? Luxury clothes, expensive watches, designer brands, the newest gadgets. Sometimes people aren't buying products, they're buying approval. The strange part is, most strangers stop thinking about your purchase within seconds, but you continue paying for it for months, sometimes years. Self-made millionaires understand something powerful. Status is rented, wealth is owned. The more your happiness depends on impressing people, the harder it becomes to build lasting wealth. But what if I told you that even people who avoid luxury spending still fall into another expensive trap? Habit 8. People love talking about big financial decisions. Buying a house, investing in stocks, starting a business. But wealth is often built or destroyed through small daily choices. A daily coffee, multiple food deliveries every week, subscriptions you forgot existed, impulse purchases online. None of them seem dangerous until you add them together. Small expenses repeated for years become surprisingly large numbers. It's not about never enjoying life. It's about spending intentionally. Because every dollar has a job. If you don't assign it one, it disappears. And that brings us to a habit that's far more expensive than most people realize. Habit 7. Many people delay investing because they think they need more money, or more knowledge, or the perfect market. So they wait, and wait, and wait. The problem is, time is one of the greatest advantages an investor has. The earlier money starts compounding, the harder it works. Waiting for the perfect opportunity often becomes the perfect excuse to do nothing. The wealthiest investors understand something simple. Done is often better than perfect. Of course, informed decisions matter, but endless hesitation quietly steals years of potential growth. And speaking of growth, there's another habit that's costing people far more than money. Habit 6. Imagine two people with the same salary. One spends every extra dollar on entertainment, the other spends part of it learning valuable skills. 5 years later, who has more opportunities? Skills increase your value, and increased value usually increases income. Books, courses, mentors, communication, sales, leadership, negotiation. These aren't expenses, they're investments. The highest return you'll ever receive often comes from improving yourself. Yet most people ignore the one asset they carry everywhere, their own mind. But even skilled people can struggle financially because of the next habit. Habit 5. Imagine your only source of income suddenly disappears. How long could you continue paying your bills? For many people, the answer isn't very long. That's why wealthy individuals often build multiple income streams: investments, businesses, dividends, rental income, royalties, freelancing. Not because they're greedy, because diversification creates security. Relying on one paycheck places your financial future in someone else's hands. The goal isn't to work endlessly. The goal is to create income that continues even when you're not working. And that becomes much easier if you avoid the next habit. Habit 4. Ask someone where they want to travel next year. Many people have an answer. Ask them where they want to be financially in 5 years. Silence. Without a destination, every financial decision becomes random. A simple budget isn't about restriction, it's about direction. Money flows where attention goes. If you never tell your money where to go, you'll always wonder where it went. Successful people don't just earn money, they manage it with intention. But planning alone isn't enough. There's another invisible habit quietly destroying wealth every single day. Habit 3. Fear makes people sell investments at the worst possible time. Excitement makes them buy at the highest prices. Stress leads to emotional spending. Comparison creates unnecessary purchases. The truth is, money is emotional. But successful investors learn to separate emotions from decisions. Instead of reacting, they rely on principles. Because emotional decisions often create expensive consequences. And one emotion in particular quietly destroys more wealth than almost anything else: comparison. Habit number 2. Social media has made comparison almost impossible to escape. Someone buys a luxury car. Someone takes an expensive vacation. Someone starts a successful business. What you don't see is their debt, their stress, their failures, or the years of work behind those moments. Comparison encourages spending without purpose. You begin chasing someone else's definition of success instead of building your own. Real wealth isn't about having more than everyone else. It's about needing less validation from everyone else. And that brings us to the habit quietly sitting behind almost every financial struggle we've discussed today. Habit number 1. This is the habit that connects every other habit on this list: the desire for immediate rewards. Buying now instead of investing. Spending instead of saving. Comfort instead of discipline. People often believe wealth comes from earning more. But wealth is usually built by consistently making decisions your future self will thank you for. Every time you delay unnecessary spending, every time you invest instead of consume, every time you choose long-term growth over short-term pleasure, you're moving closer to financial freedom. Not because of one big decision, but because of hundreds of small ones. Money habits work exactly like compound interest. Tiny choices repeated over years produce extraordinary results. The scary part is the opposite is also true. Small bad habits repeated long enough quietly create financial stress that seems to appear overnight. Except it didn't happen overnight. It happened one small decision at a time. Here's the good news. Habits can change. No matter where you are financially today, your future isn't determined by your income alone. It's determined by the decisions you repeat every week. The people who build wealth aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the highest earners. They're often the ones who consistently avoid the quiet financial mistakes that everyone else considers normal. That's the real difference. Not luck, not talent, habits. If you found this video valuable, subscribe to Raw Reality POV for more videos on wealth psychology, investing, and financial freedom. And tell us in the comments, which money habit do you think is the hardest to break?